to another Just 5 Mins. This time around, we've got Builder.io. Okay, so what is it? And what does it do? And why is it possibly useful? Well, what is it? It's that's a good one. It's a headless visual CMS. Okay, so I think it's important to say headless because it's not like WordPress or Wix or Webflow where it's an all-in sort of like it's sort of a hosted platform, etc., etc. So it's headless that you can build it into your own applications. You don't have to sort of use the like WordPress itself or wherever it's hosted or Webflow or whatever it might be. But also the visual CMS aspect. So the content management part of it is got a really slick visual sort of designer. If you've ever used WordPress, it's a little bit like the Gutenberg blocks type layout, but it's very simple, really nice to get sort of working. And the key thing is that, and it really confused me, I was trying to work it out, because they don't host anything. You host this wherever you want it to go. And better still, it is literally just pure HTML, JavaScript. You build the application. It could be just pure HTML, JavaScript, or it could be React, Svelte, Vue, Angular, whatever framework it can drop in. And they've got some really good documentation. Okay. But the main thing is that confused me, and it probably is just me, is that I couldn't understand, well, okay, there's the visual design, but where does that sit on your side? But it doesn't, to the best of my knowledge. It basically sits, that's the visual side is got some really slick things in there, which is user management, role management, access rights, all that type of stuff. So it handles all of that. But you basically drop that into your HTML. Again, whatever flavor of framework or not that you've got. And you can select it as well. So you can have like full page capabilities of editing or sections or things like that, or down to individual components. But the main thing is you can drop that into, as I say, your own HTML. You can host that wherever you like. It doesn't really matter. And it's a really nice thing because the idea being then that the editing part can be done and it's a real-time update because ultimately it's an API that's getting read from your front end and rendering it in the right way. And it seems to be very, very slick. There, let's say the tie-in, if you like, is the fact that it's the to go get your. It's very fast. Certainly, they've done a lot of work on performance, but it's obviously you're tied in a way to Builder.io for getting the bits that you want the CMS to work in. So if you've got a 10-page site and you've got 3 pages that are using Builder.io, the CMS part, then really it's just those 3 component pages that you're going to be using from Builder.io. And that brings on to the other thing is that, there is pricing, but the free version is for what they call a space. So a space is like a site, I presume. You can have an organization, you can go into a lot more details, but ultimately the free version does give you some pretty good usage, really. So for instance, you can have up to 10 users that you can define as CMS sites, not to the whole site. The HTML site, the site itself is yours. You host it wherever, you control that. But the Builder.io pages or components on those pages, you get up to, on the free version anyway, up to about 10,000 views per month, which is pretty cool. And the bandwidth is something like 10 gig of that rendering, what it's pulling down. Because again, whatever front-end framework it's being used in, it's essentially calling it through an API to get the data to render out properly. Okay, so it's fair dues. You pay for the fact that you've got that lovely visual editing and the management around that, etc. But again, you control the site. So if you use Builder.io and you've hosted it on, I don't know, Amazon or Azure or wherever it is, and then you decide, well, look, we're not going to use it anymore, you can just unclick, basically just take that out. Your site will still work. You won't be able to edit it in that way, but you will be able to edit it in another way, because it's essentially just rendering out your normal sort of HTML. So there's a time, but there isn't, from what I can see anyway. But it's definitely worth a look. And the nice thing, again, if you're a dev, is that in Visual Studio Code, it's got an extension, so you could use the editor embedded in Visual Studio Code alongside when you're actually building the website itself. So it's doing a lot of that heavy lift of the CMS aspect, and you can selectively say, I want it here on this page, or that component, or that section, or I've got other pages that don't need CMS at all, so thank you very much, I'll just leave that as it is. But it's worth a look. It's certainly something that I've been getting my head around for the last couple of weeks and delving in a little bit deeper. So we've gone way over 5 minutes this time, but that's what I've got. The links and details are below as ever.